All right, so this week is the NCAA tournament. I'm filling out my brackets. I do it every year. Study religiously. Study religiously.
You supposed to be studying for your graduate.
I just tell everybody I'm studying. I'm not
exam.
very specific. I just tell people I'm studying, all right? So,
Go to your bracketology class and all of that.
I'm studying very hard. So anyway, with the NC2A tournament, I figure it's really good time to talk about this topic because when you watch it, I don't care where they're from. It could be Michigan, Iowa, Missouri, Maine. You see this abundance of black bodies on the court. Now, never mind that most of the coaches are white, all the personnel are white, refs are white, commentators are white. But you see these black players, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm curious. You went to a Division I. You got your PhD from University of Southern California.
That's right.
Big school. What is your take on these black bodies in sports and college athletics, and what is it doing?
You know what? My alma mater is going to kill me for taking this position, but you know what? I've always been disturbed with the way that black men, that black people, in general, but black men specifically, are hyper exploited. I would argue hyper exploited in this whole process. I know this is going to sound harsh, but straight up, I really think of it like. That basketball courts and football fields are like the new plantations, if you would.
It's the new Jim Crow.
The new Jim Crow, right? It's like, let's not even talk about it. I mean, here you have the prison industrial complex. I would argue that the thing that does the most damage to us as black men is the sports industrial complex. I mean, think about all the black male lives that are discarded at so young of an age. Right? Because we as a society hype them up at like as soon as they could pick up a basketball. I mean, and as soon as they could run a little bit, and you're like, oh, little JJ, they gonna make it.
He's a football player. Oh, look at the little football player.
Right? Yeah. And so here we have this society.
I love how we raised our voice. That was very gendered.
That was pretty gendered right there. But so. When we're talking about the improvement of young black men, when we start saying that to them, how quickly did they check themselves out of just the education process? How quickly did they just check themselves out of trying to earn a living in some respectable manner and learning and whatnot versus just thinking it's like, oh, I'm going to be this basketball person. I'm going to be this football person. And, I honestly, I think this is one of the biggest disservices because think about all the billions of dollars that these universities are making on the backs of black men. And so just in case you're thinking I'm being really harsh, the definition of slavery is to do all this work and not get the pay and get adequate pay for it. That's like the very definition of it. And so therefore, when you see the college athletes and how much the colleges get paid for all of this and how much the athletes get paid for it, I say that it's just not even on. It's not even on the same playing field. No pun intended.
Right. But then I'm on the other end though because I went to school on a track scholarship, and arguably I stayed in school because of a track scholarship. Right. Like I literally dropped out of college, and my track coach was like, "No, you're going back to class. You're coming to practice. We'll sort this thing out later, but you're going to be at practice." So I literally got to school and stayed in school and discovered, myself. Not just intellectually, but my identity, who I was through that process. And so, though, I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly, right? I taught 8th graders and they all wanted to be basketball players. But at the same time, there are folks like me who are there for the game or for the sport.
Right.
And are able to turn that into education. I don't know. I don't know what the percentage might be of how many folks do it. And there's something
probably
to be said.
0.01%.
Right? Outlier. not statistically valid. But then again, there's that difference between, right, a Division II or Division III or NAIA school or small school versus these big BCS, ACC schools that are clearly profiting off the backs of these folks.
And so imagine standing up all these, these black male athletes and and going through all these stories and trying to find one like yours. I mean, honestly, it's like the other story that I can think of is, for crying out loud, Seattle Seahawks Sherman Williams, right? Yeah. Sherman Williams, like he would be to me an example of
Richard Sherman. Sherman Williams. Richard Sherman. I think that's painted.
Something like that. Okay, whatever. That dude, Seattle Seahawks, that guy. he might be one of the other stories, similar to this one, but like I said, contextually speaking, like how many of these young black men actually are focusing on their education when they're doing this? Because if you think about it, right, that the sports, for whatever reason that young black men play, that there's no adequate farming system. Right, but for the sports that white people play, there's farming systems. So like hockey or baseball or things like that, it's like you can get drafted straight from high school and go into the pros and start earning your living, right? But with basketball, they even put in a 1 year you got to go to college or go overseas rule just so they can contain and keep black men on that damn court. And that is what really upsets me in regards to like thinking about race and racism and all of that within this context.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. Bottom line, Bruce is going to be watching the Final Four slave auction.
That's right.
I'll be watching
on the slave blocks. Who's masters who? Is it going to be Syracuse or Duke?
Don't talk about Syracuse. That's my team. That's my East Coast team.
Whose niggas are going to win? That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. Whose niggas are going to win? Because it ain't. Anyway, I'm going to stop.
All right, so thanks for tuning in. This is Strange Fruit Sociology. Follow the YouTube channel. We may come out with a Twitter or some other social media. I don't know. I'm getting old for that social media, but I'm trying to stay with it. So follow us on YouTube. We'll be posting every week. So check us out. Peace.